What's up? Welcome in on this Thursday lunchtime live as we approach another weekend in the sports world. We appreciate you taking some time out of your work day to hang out with us. It is scientifically proven that if you hang out with us during your lunch period, that your day gets exponentially better, especially if you're at work after that. Just keep that in mind. You can listen to us. You can watch the PGA Championship. You can talk about scheduling the next game on Pluto, which I'm sure that'll come out on Nickelodeon, the Once. We'll find that out later tonight. All kinds of stuff. More schedule leaks coming out. We'll talk about some more of that. We were obviously going to go through some headlines. Talk about a wild night, if you will, at the Ball Arena last night that sent the Wild packing. Just an incredible scene after we got off the air last night. Turns out Nathan McKinnon can actually make that shot from the left side of the cage. We'll get into a little bit of that. A little bit of what we saw. Both games last night, T, kind of took the same mirror. The Cavs-Pistons game and the Wild Avalanche game. Pistons blow a 9-point lead late in that one. We talked about it right off the top. My big concern entering the game last night, before I ask how the hell you are, was the fact that there was no Duncan Robinson, and then Tobias Harris went to the bench in the first quarter. Despite that, Detroit had them in the corner. All they had to do was throw the knockout blow, and they couldn't get it done. Both games were kind of oddly similar last night. How are you?
Oh, man, it's Thursday. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm ready for some Thursday adult beverages with the slate we got tonight on the ice. But yeah, I mean, carbon copies of each other, right? You had the Cavaliers come back, they force overtime, gutted out a win, and then the Wild, man, just what a gut punch. Holy smokes. But it shows you how potent that Colorado Avalanche team is, right? They basically scored 3 goals in 7 minutes. So and you're in the second round. You're not playing a bunch of jerk offs here. You're playing really good teams. So, once again, gut punch for the Wild, part of the learning process, good for the Avs and good for the Cavs.
Yeah, and if you have a trendy hipster sweater around your neck, deck shoes on kind of name in the NHL right now, it's a good time to do that as Brett Kulak finds the perfect time to score his first goal of the postseason. We've been talking about Alex Newhook for the Habs, Brett Howden for the Knights, Parker Kelly for the Avs when we talk about more and more and more, and we'll talk about that game a little bit more later on. We're obviously going to have some ponies to pick from today. T is going to see if he can dance down the happy road to the pay window again. Our guy, our horse whisperer on the program, Billy V, I'm sure will check in at some point. I'm looking at the blind numbers that I had you guys pick, and I'm still laughing because Mac's 2 horses named scary as shit, and when hell freezes over. Let's get into some headline fire right off the top. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. We'll get as many of them up on the screen as we can. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. T, I asked Mac the other night, we know LeBron's going to play next year. It's just a matter of where, so I'm going to flip it to you for the other guy who's going to dominate NBA headlines this offseason, since now we know the Milwaukee Bucks are listening to trade offers for Giannis. I asked Mac, as I said on Tuesday, where LeBron plays next year. I'm going to ask you, where does Giannis play next year? Where would you like to see him play next year?
Where I'd like to see him play and where he winds up playing are going to be two different things, obviously. I would like to see him play in the East somewhere like, I don't know, north of the border. I think would be a good fit for him. But I have a feeling he's coming out west. I have a feeling his zip code will start with a 9.
I see what you did there.
And if I had to guess, I would say that the second digit is probably in the 4s or 5s.
So he's either going for great seafood, great beaches, or a contract that will have him allegedly planting trees is what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up in Golden State.
It's going to be interesting, man. I think we're looking at 2 crazy off seasons. One, because of how thin the free agent pool is in hockey. I think we're going to see a lot of trades. 2, the NBA, because you're going to see some major players in different spots.
Well, and hear me out here. Like, So we all know that Steph is not getting younger. We know that Draymond's not getting younger. They do have a decision to make with Draymond. I think they probably will keep him. But if you needed a guy who's available to make another couple of runs at this thing, I think Giannis is your guy.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's made sense for a long time. The problem is the guy who makes the decision for the Warriors doesn't have a set of balls to make a move like that, like his predecessor did. Mm-hmm. That'd be my concern if I'm a Warrior fan right now, is I have no faith in Mike Dunleavy Jr., because what has he shown me that's a competent and copacetic move for the direction of this franchise? He's shown me nothing. And listen, I'll be honest with you right now. Like, I'll be 100% honest with you. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more on tomorrow's program, but think about it this way. If you're the NBA, I'll fan the tinfoil tool bag flames here just for a second. Mm-hmm. LeBron goes to the Warriors. It's been a thing. There's a relationship there with Draymond, with Steph, with Steve Kerr. Mm-hmm. He goes to the Warriors. You imagine the ticket sales when they play in Miami? You imagine the ticket sales when the guy who brought the title to Cleveland comes back with the team that kept him from titles in Cleveland.
Yep.
Obviously, tickets in Los Angeles. That's where Adam Silver goes, hey, I want you guys to bring in LeBron. All the owners are going to love it. We're going to print money. As Max said, Macklin Celebrini's dad might not have enough athletic tape to keep that team together next year. But let's roll out LeBron, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, Kristaps Porzingis, Steph Curry, Brandon Pajemski, Moses Moody, Will Richard, TJ, Mac, Mike, Paul, and Steve the hot dog guy, because that's how you're going to have to build out the rest of that roster. And let's just do the damn thing. And then, here's what I want you to do, Joe Lacob. In 2 years, I'm going to need you to make a trade for Anthony Davis, which means in 3 years, you're going to get the number 1 draft pick, which means some 11-year-old that's shooting at the park that's already got an NIL deal in 6th grade is going to be the number 1 draft pick of the Warriors going forward. It makes perfect sense for everybody.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
I'm just saying.
I feel that Golden State, I think they're better than they were this year. I think that was a huge disappointment. You would know better than me as you watch them on a nightly basis, but I think they've got one more run left in them, and I think they owe it. They owe it to the fans and they owe it to Steph Curry to go get a big name this summer. You have
anytime you have 30 on your roster, you've got a shot. But you need other guys that can soften the blow. I mean, they've got the 11th pick in the draft. I've seen a couple of mock drafts here, and this would not surprise me if they screwed this up, because their history of drafting has not been very good either, and that goes before Mike Dunleavy Jr. But you're looking at a guy like a Yaxel Lendenberg from Michigan. It's probably going to be available to them at that spot. A big guy that can shoot. Yeah. I was talking about Rui Hachimura and how I thought the Warriors have missed the boat a couple of times on that one. That's the kind of guy I could see them getting. So it will be quite the interesting offseason in the NBA for sure, but the LeBron Giannis thing, absolutely. Go ahead.
I guess the full uniform shower for Cal Raleigh didn't really work out as intended, did it? He's on the injured list for the first time in his career. I expected a course correction out of Cal Raleigh this year, but holy smokes, I was not expecting what has not come out of his bat this year. What does this mean for the Mariners?
Yeah, no, they're still at 21 and 23. They are up 3-0 thanks to a Luke Raley home run in Houston today. That game early in the second there. But, and you mentioned this, like one of the things you talked about at the beginning of the year when we were making some bold predictions, and Raleigh ends up on the IL for the first time in his career. Mm-hmm. I wonder what if he showered full uniform, and because of the weight of the uniform, that's what tweaked his oblique. Ooh. Then Logan Gilbert will really feel like an asshole. But, that was our concern was no matter what Cal Raleigh did this year, it wasn't going to look very good because everybody's going to hold him to last year's standard. And this is one of the things that I don't think a lot of people, and there's another big hitter in a miserable slump right now, I know, unfortunately, because of my home run bets as of late. We'll talk about him in a second in that same damn division. But everything that Cal was going to do was going to be compared to last year. And the one part that everybody forgets is this guy catches damn near every day for them too, and he's one of the best in the game to do it. So just the amount of the squats and the demands of the catching position. You have a career year last year. I don't think anybody's surprised that he's in a slump. Maybe this is enough to be the course correction where he can sit down, he can watch some film, he can step back, and maybe that's enough to reset him, because we've seen that happen a million times with guys.
Well, I mean, it's good that the Mariners got Donovan back finally. Good for my fantasy team. But, I mean, this lineup, Rayleigh's been absolutely raking lately. But the other guys have just been kind of guys. And this team had a lot of really good performances last year. And they're just not getting it. The pitching, I'm not worried about the pitching from the Seattle team. I'm worried about this offense again, because the pitching is going to happen. I mean, it's early results, but the Castillo looks great today. And you've got Wu and Gilbert and Kirby. Like, the pitching is going to be there, but this offense cannot withstand a delayed slump by anybody in this lineup.
Yeah, and speaking of slumps, Corey Seager, the guy I was referring to, 0 for 27 skid for Seager right now. And we're seeing that from a lot of the big hitters early on in the season here. Last night in general in baseball, team was just out of its freaking mind. 6 games, which the winning run was scored in the 9th or 10th inning, 5 late inning comebacks, 4 walk-offs, 8 blown saves, 27 runs scored just last night alone in the 9th and 10th inning. I don't know if you saw the play. I know we reposted it on our X page this morning. In the Pittsburgh, Colorado game last night, Bang Bang played a third. Brandon Lau runs right through the base, forces Nick Gonzalez to run home. They've got him in a pickle. He leans into, I can't remember who the pitcher was off the top of my head, Quintana last night. He leans into him. They call obstruction. The run scores. And then I'm flipping through the highlights late last night, and there's a minor league game. Ball's hit to right field. The right fielder's running for it. He ends up stepping on it, and it basically plugs in the grass to the point where he can't get it out of the grass. The guy gets it inside the park home run. Then it took 2 other guys to come over and help this guy dig the ball out of the grass. A weird night for baseball. A lot of that stuff falls through the cracks at this time of the year because of the demand of the NHL and the NBA postseason schedule. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I will keep it in baseball here. The Braves, the first team to 30 wins, T. They're plus 425 to win the National League. They're plus 850 to win the World Series. Matt Olson, who is red hot for the Braves right now, is a plus 800 to win MVP. Which Atlanta bet right there that I just gave you is worth an Andrew Jackson to you right now?
Representing the NL, winning the NL pennant. I think that's such great value right now. This team has... We talked about them season after season, how they just seem to get better. Or they had the 1 year after they won the World Series where everything just went straight to hell. That's going to happen. Everybody got injured. I think that was the year Acuna got injured. And it was just bad news bears. But this team just overcomes adversity so well. And now they're out in front. They're 9-10 games out in front in the East. They are absolutely hell and gone. They are getting great pitching right now too. So I think that right now, leader in the clubhouse, I would totally put 20. I'd put my 20 and your 20 on for them to win the NL pennant.
I don't think it's a bad bet. The Braves hosting Boston this weekend in rivalry weekend in Major League Baseball, because that one's so heated there. Connolly early and Spencer Strider on Friday. Saturday's matchup will get Peyton Toll and Bryce Elder. Sunday's matchup, Tubada for Boston right now against Grant Holmes. And we posted a video the other day, and one of the comments that came across was wow, this notion of the Braves pitching staff is so tired and old, because I said I still have concerns about the Braves pitching staff going forward. They have all the talent. They've got a lot of injuries. They've got guys pitching way out of their minds right now. But that's my concern is if you've got an Elder and you've got Holmes, and I'm going to draw a blank here on the third one I wanted to bring up, but you've got those guys there and they're pitching great. But will they continue to do that all year before you get a little bit of help back is the question. But again, with the Braves, the thing is offensively, it doesn't really matter. Because if they have a bad night from their pitchers, they're fully capable of dropping 10 on you on any given day. And I think that's what makes them so damn dangerous right now.
Was it Chris Sale you might have been thinking of? Because he's been pretty good. But
No, because I expect him to be good. But J.R. Ritchie, he's been really good for him. Martin Perez been pretty solid for him as well. I mean, they're getting it from everybody, and good on them because that's what you need.
But I mean, first in runs allowed, first in hits allowed, first in batting average against, first in ERA, third in WHIP. I mean, like the numbers speak for themselves here. Mm-hmm. Yes, the long term is a concern, especially considering what happened last year with some of their pitching. But man, right now this team looks like an absolute machine.
An absolute machine, absolutely. Go for it.
Well, this news kind of came out of. I wasn't expecting this. Chris Knobloch of the Oilers is out in Edmonton. Is he culpable or is he the fall guy?
You've got to have a fall guy. Quote our boy Chris Carter there. I'm not surprised that they made the move. I text you this morning, and I'm going to try and say it in a cleaner way than I said it. But it's kind of interesting now that the Leafs and Oilers are playing a game of how big is my stick, only to seemingly be left holding their respective sticks without their two superstars at the end of this offseason, because it looks like that's a pathway that we might be going down. Obviously, with the Wild out, and we'll get into them here in a little bit, the Hughes conversation is coming up. I thought the guys on Spit and Chicklets kind of laid it out perfectly. They're not playing together in New Jersey. That's not going to happen.
Guys.
The NHL offseason, and when I spoke with Evan Klosky last Friday from 10 Tampa Bay, he kind of mentioned the same thing, and how Julian Brisebois is going to, go about maybe fixing the smaller holes, but the identity of the Lightning. And it's one of those off seasons that it really isn't the deepest free agent class. There's a lot of D-men in this class. There's not really, it's not one of the ones that we've seen. And that's why I think when you're seeing McDavid, and we know McDavid's already put them on the clock with the deal he signed, but now the Matthews stuff, the new coach coming in there, how are they going to do that? Obviously, they have the number one pick. I think we're all assuming it would be Gavin McKenna, but you never know because it's the Leafs. Who knows? Do they make a trade with San Jose? Do they make a trade with somebody else in the top side and end up with two of the top 5 picks and say, all right, Austin, see you later? I think it's interesting. But back to the Oilers situation, it's, and I got to give you all the credit for this because you've been banging on this for a couple of years. How can you have the best player in the game and you took the good players that you had around him that got you to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals and got rid of most of those guys? RNH is on his 10th coach, if I'm remembering correctly, in 15 years now.
Sounds about right.
What are we doing here? You can't. And we just talked about the Warriors and their obligation to Steph Curry to make sure that he gets a legitimate one more run at a title. It's the Oilers, you've been at the doorstep a couple of times. You've been all the way to the brink of getting it done a couple of times. And then instead of keeping those guys, we got rid of them and still didn't address the goaltending situation. So with all that considered, I'm not surprised that he was the fall guy in Knobloch, but I also don't think it's a fix. Just like firing Craig Berube isn't going to be a fix for Toronto like they think it is.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what happened exactly with Berube. I don't know if they just mutually agreed to part ways, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chaika is bringing in his own guy. But this whole thing in Edmonton stinks. What are you going to do? You can't keep trying to put the band back together here with the Oilers. They brought Paul Coffey in late 24-25 to coach the power play. Paul Coffey leaves. Then they bring him back in 25-26 as an assistant coach, later in the season to coach the power play again. But you can't keep living in the past here. No disrespect to Paul Coffey, but you got to fix these problems, right? The goaltending is an absolute disaster. The depth is questionable. They've signed some players to very questionable contracts. I don't know why they signed Trent Frederick to an 8-year contract for a 4th liner. The Jake Wallman deal kicks in next year at 7 times 7. That is a brutal deal. Darnell Nurse has not been playing at the level of his contract. Evan Bouchard is kind of meh this year with defense, but he's tied to a big deal. This team is very top heavy, and you can't win when you're top heavy. Look at the Florida Panthers. They were they had a couple of guys on big deals, but that team was stacked, line 1 to line 4, absolutely stacked. So there's a lot of decisions, and I don't know if I have the confidence in Stan Bowman to make the correct decisions right now. His track record is not great. And it's going to start with the $7 million. It's not, like, they're still paying Jack Campbell, who they bought out a couple of years ago. This team has $8 million tied up in goaltending, and $1.5 million of it isn't even in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other interesting thing too, T. If you could read between the tea leaves, if you will, we saw that Vegas basically told Edmonton to pound sand when they wanted to talk to Bruce Cassidy about being on their staff. That comes out yesterday, and then this morning, Chris Knobloch gets fired. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a giant pissing contest between Vegas and Edmonton, and good on Vegas. Like, why would you help them? I mean, that's exactly it. But it's kind of interesting, the timing, that after we hear that yesterday that they're denied, that Knobloch gets fired today, and I don't know how that changes it if he's negotiating to be a head coach as opposed to being on the staff. But it's another interesting kind of wrinkle in the situation.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I haven't looked this morning, but I don't here come the same names again, right? Cassidy, they're not going to go back to Jay Woodcraft. He's been there, done that. But now you got Berube in the mix. Is he the right guy? I don't know, man. I think this is a bad move by the Oilers.
Toronto hires Knobloch and Edmonton hires Berube.
Like, why don't you just switch and throw in some draft picks?
Just merge together, you two lovebirds.
I don't know where they go. I'll be honest. I really don't know where they go.
Yeah, I don't. And this one shocks me a little bit more because, again, it is the classic fall guy situation. Now, you can say they didn't get it done, I guess, but it's a total fall guy situation here. As we keep going through later tonight, we will get an NFL schedule, as we know. We've already gotten 2/3 of it, it seems like. And we found out yesterday, internationally speaking, the Steelers and the Saints are playing the first NFL game ever in Paris. T, I want you to describe to a French fan, say Rudy Gobert, who's going to have plenty of off time to watch stuff like this. How would you explain Steelers and Saints to a French person watching their first NFL game?
I would say, oui, shahut organisé. It's organized grab ass. Go enjoy yourself. Get your escargots and your wine and your champagne and go have at it. It's
how did that go again?
Shahut organisé.
World traveler, TJ.
I think I know you're trying to grow the game. I don't know if some of these cities are it. Paris is a huge untapped market for the NFL. I don't think they've ever been there before. It's literally a short train ride from the UK, which has a huge NFL fan base. It's a short train ride from Germany, which also has a huge NFL fan base. So this is going to be a fun experience for the players. It's going to be an interesting experience for the fans. I don't know if they're really ready to see. I mean, if you've watched PSG for the last several years and you walk into the stadium and you see who they gonna roll out Tyler Shug and who's rolling out for Pitt? Oh my God. I'd probably make sure I had a bunch of French beer on my way in.
Did they drink beer in France? I don't know. Weeks 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11. Melbourne, Rio, 3 times in London, Paris, Madrid, Munich, and Mexico City. You know what's kind of interesting about this? There's only one team that plays 2 international games, and no, I'm not referring to you, Jacksonville, because you basically have an office in London, so you don't count. The Niners in Melbourne and Mexico City, dude.
I was going to say, do I get 2 guesses and the first one doesn't count? Is San Francisco in one of those? Are they the road team and one of them they're the home team?
I don't remember if the second one is a Niner home game. I believe it is. They are technically the road team for the game against the Rams.
Yeah.
So the Niners are and that is a Sunday night game in Mexico. Typically, that's a Monday night game. So that Niners Vikings game, which is the last international game, week 11 in Mexico City, that'll actually be a Sunday night game. So that's a little different this year. But rest of the schedule comes out later today, which means we're about 6 hours from people on paper instantly going, well, I can see 7 and 10 out of this schedule here. It's freaking May, people. Can we not do that tonight? Can we at least save that nonsense for tomorrow so I can make fun of you tomorrow for it? What do you got for me?
Not a chance. You know what? Going back to the Niners, though, I'd be hella pissed because you just took a game out of my schedule where I literally have a home field advantage on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be mad.
Kyle Shanahan's had some comments about that and referencing that directly, and obviously they're going to do what they're going to do, but the Niners will travel 38,000 miles this season for an aging roster that hasn't been able to stay healthy. Be interesting to see how that all goes. So again, that's I believe that's about 5 o'clock tonight, if I remember correctly, on the West Coast.
Keep them away from the power plants. Okay, so we have an elimination game tonight. Do the Ducks put it together and force a Game 7 on Sunday? Or
I do really
Saturday.
like this Ducks team, and I'm very excited for what seems to be quite the next 6 or 7 years, if you will, of Ducks Sharks being a big thing again, which back in the heyday, it was a great thing. A lot of crossover on the rosters and whatnot. This Vegas team just has too much, dude. It's as much as the Ducks, we talk about the muscle memory and you got a young team like this and they can forget things and move on very quickly. Like, we talk about Colorado and the weapons and the depth, and we've talked about Carolina and how basically their top line's been non-existent and they've been equally as dominant. Like, Vegas, very quietly, has been kind of the same, and their series have been a little tighter than anything that those other two teams have seen, but they're never out of a game. And I can see this game playing out exactly how we saw the last series ended. I think I actually text you this in that final game against Utah. Vegas just knocked out Utah the exact same way they're going to knock out the Ducks, and we're kind of right at that point. Like, I can see tonight being a game that the Ducks are winning in the third period, and the third period Knights show up and, insert rando off the end of the bench for the Knights that has a game-winning goal like a Brett Kulak. I think Anaheim should be happy as hell about the future. I think that show ends tonight.
Yeah, definitely playing with house money right now. It's really cool to see the fan reactions around here. Like, everybody's all in. No Mark Stone tonight. No Braden McNabb. So he's suspended. No Ryan Paling for the Ducks, who's been one of their best face-off guys. That's going to be a huge loss for them. I think they're going to get it done, though. I think they're going to get it done. Maybe I've been drinking too much of the Kool-Aid, man, but I think this team has something working. And when they get home and their backs against the wall, we saw it in Game 4. It got a little dicey at the end, but they were able to pull it out. And they got contributions from Ian Moore, like a guy that was a defenseman playing forward or playing defense. Like, he's all over the place. Tim Washi has been he's been good in the face-off circle for them, almost as good as Ryan Paling. This team needs a big contribution from John Carlson tonight. They need big contributions from Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson. The big guns. They may be 19, 20, 21 other than Carlson, but these guys need to produce.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's tonight's a night. There you go. We've got a hat trick play we'll drop out here in just a couple of minutes for you, but I'm going to give you the kind of rando-ass dude that scores for the Knights tonight. I'm going to go with Noah Hannafin for his first goal of the playoffs tonight. I mean, when you go down this list, you look at some of the guys that haven't done a whole lot, like Riley Smith, hasn't had a ton of time on the ice. Rasmus Anderson's basically been non-existent the whole postseason. You can go down. I mean, then we're getting towards the bottom of the barrel there. But like Nick Dowd, he's a -4 in the postseason for them. Tomas Hertl, we've talked about him. He's gotten to a -2. That was not good. But that's the kind of guy I could see scoring tonight in that one. We'll get to the hat trick play here in just a little bit. One last one here, because I want to have a little bit of fun today. We always have fun on the show. So I found out that the Chicago Fire's new ballpark, pitch park. I don't know how you say it for MLS, but the Chicago Fire's new park is McDonald's Park. Now, if I remember correctly, I think that's supposed to be a South Loop thing. Either way, that means I would have to care more about the MLS to look up all the details of it. But McDonald's Park just kind of made me giggle because I'm a little 10-year-old sometimes with stuff like this. Give me a stadium sponsor that you'd love to see for a specific team.
I would love to see the Jacksonville Jaguars play in a stadium sponsored by the Waffle House. I think that would be outstanding. That would be completely on brand. It's because sometimes their offense is scattered, smothered, and covered. I think that would be a good one to start with. But I mean, when you're trying to match these things up, it's got to be something kind of regional. I think those are the best ones. Like the first McDonald's is I think a little bit west of Chicago, so that I would buy that. I think that's a good deal. I imagine they're not going to have the dollar menu in the concessions area though, because I mean, it's not Arthur Blank, so we couldn't do that. But I'd love to see like the Atlanta Dream playing in the Chick-fil-A arena, but they can not play on Sundays because the arena is closed. Something like that.
I think I got a good one. I think I nailed it here with this one. I want to see the Giants ballpark, the gem that is Oracle Park, renamed to California Horse Supply Stadium for the horse shit that team puts out on the field on a nightly basis. I think that'd be a perfect match right now. So let's get into the NHL from last night, what we saw, and we talked about it off the top. We were talking about it as the show was going on. Minnesota in complete control of the game until they weren't. 4-1, the final score they win the series 4-1. Final score last night 4-3. The Avs outscored the Wild 4-0 in the final 32 minutes and change to eliminate Minnesota. This was kind of eye-opening to me. The first series clincher at home for the Avs since 2008, ironically against Minnesota. The Avs did what we've expected the Avs to do all postseason, and they're like a giant cockroach because there's so many damn weapons, and you can't hold this team down. 16 different goal scorers in this series for the Avs. Never been done before.
Yeah, I mean, and they're getting contributions from everybody, which is exactly what you want from a team that is as loaded as they are. And, you know, when we're doing our little bets for anytime goal scorers, right? With the Avs, it's so difficult because, you know, you never know who's going to make the big contribution. Some, like, they got a goal from Jack Drury last night. Like, he's been kind of he's not been putting pucks in the net that frequently in the postseason. You got one from Nathan McKinnon. That was huge. And then the winner from Kulak. It's exactly what Jared Bednar wants. He needs contributions from everybody. This is the depth. This is the secondary scoring that teams need to win a cup. This team is absolutely loaded. I don't know if you jumped on it after the second period. They were plus 450 to win. And I was like just sitting there looking at it going, man, if I lived in a state where I could do this, I would have bet my entire account on it because it was such a good value. But I mean, they are absolutely rolling right now. 8-1 in the postseason. They get to have a little bit of rest. And I think they're the class of the West. I really do. Tough break for Minnesota, but I have a feeling Minnesota is going to be back.
I got two questions for you, one with each team here. So let's start with the Avs. The elephant in the room, if you will, is which wood does Jared Bednar want to play with going forward here? Because they've got questions between the pipes. We've seen them go to Blackwood. We know what Wedgwood has done. What do you do? Because that seems to be the biggest question right now for the Avs.
Well, at least it's not great value Georgiev, right?
Fuck that guy.
I think you got to go back to Wedgwood for game one. I think he's the one. He's been the horse that's gotten him there in the playoffs. But I think you got to go back to him in game one. But the Avs, they don't need great goaltending. They need good goaltending. If you get good goaltending and your offense does what it does, if they put up 4 every game, you're probably going to win a lot of games. So they just need to have good goaltending. They have a luxury in that they have basically 2 starters, but I'd go back to Wedgwood in game one.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I would expect him to go. But I mean, it is the question. And that's the interesting
Huge
thing
question.
for all the teams that are left and we think we know outside of probably the Buffalo Montreal series of who our quote final four is going to be.
Mhm.
But every team has kind of a significant question there. I honestly think the layoff for Carolina is going to affect them because I think in hockey it affects you more than any other sport. Max already called it. Whoever wins the Buffalo Montreal series, he's taking them to win game one against Carolina for kind of those same reasons. Let me
Mhm.
focus in on Minnesota here for a second. You know, and I'm going to say this and it's going to piss off some Dallas fans, and that's fine because I'm not intending to, but it's the reality of the situation that you're facing. We know Dallas has questions.
It-
I wouldn't be shocked if Jason Robertson's wearing a different sweater next year because somebody's got to go in Dallas, not for maybe like lack of production, but they need to clear some room on that roster to kind of fix some of the problems that they have. So if
yeah.
you're Minnesota, you're probably pretty confident right now that you are that two in the Central, assuming everything goes accordingly to plan.
Mhm.
And I kind of talked about this with Evan last Friday when we were talking about the Lightning and how they kind of set themselves up not to get pushed around by the Panthers.
Mhm.
And Carolina kind of did the same thing. Obviously, the Lightning are out. If you're Minnesota, did you get lost in your sauce here? Did you have a great year? Do you solely look in the offseason to how do we take down the Avs to get that top seed? But either way, you're probably looking at the Avs early because the playoff format's not changing. How do you approach what to do if you're Minnesota, knowing that Colorado's still going to be there? They're still going to be your hurdle.
I don't know if you can look at it as trying to beat Colorado necessarily. I think you got to look at it as what you guys did this year, and they took a ginormous step this year. The acquisition of Quinn Hughes was absolutely incredible. They've got $20 million coming off the books in UFA deals. They do have to make some decisions on guys like Zuccarello and Nick Foligno and Tarasenko. I wouldn't be surprised if those guys don't come back. They've got to work on locking in Quinn Hughes. Like, I think that is Guerin's number one priority, is finding a way to get that guy dialed in for at least the next 3 years, so this team can have a shot at anything. But overall, this team is going to return next year pretty much with its core intact. So I think you just find a way to lock in Hughes. They've got the depth. I think you got a. I think a guy who is going to get a lot of interest in the offseason is Michael McCarron. That's a guy that they brought in, and I thought he was outstanding in this playoff. And he's a UFA. He's going to be getting a big raise. But that's a guy, Hughes, McCarron. Those are two guys that I'd probably put on my priority list to bring back. And you know what? You finished third in the division, and you took the Avs to 5 games. The Avs are loaded for the next year. You're probably still playing for second. Get those extra home games in the playoffs. I think they'll be fine.
All right. We already kind of talked about Knights and Ducks tonight. T is on the Anaheim side. I'm on the Vegas side. So let's talk real quick here so we can get some time for Cleveland and Detroit in the NBA. Who? Canadians and Sabres game 5. Big swing game here for a series that's been, and we kind of talked about this last night. Every time you think somebody's, okay, Buffalo looks like they're ready. No, now Montreal. Like, what's it going to take tonight for a key game 5 in a series that looks like it's going no short of 7 at this point?
Dude, give me 19 of these games. I mean, like, give me all of the torches at the Bell Center. Give me all the drunken anchor bar stops in Buffalo. Give it all to me. I'm interested to see. I have a feeling they're going back to UPL tonight. I'm interested to see how Dobish reacts. That was just such a tough break that on the Thompson goal the other night. But Buffalo needs to start on time. They can't be chasing the game continuously against this Montreal team. And Montreal had some playoff experience last year. It was a short stay in the playoffs, but they do have a little bit of experience. Buffalo, for the most part, other than a couple of players, other than I think Alex Tuck and Jason Zucker, does not really have a bunch of experience here. But Buffalo has to start on time. They need to
Mhm.
get ahead at the beginning.
Our hat trick play, we're 1 for our last 9 in hat trick plays tonight. So you guys got both goal scorers coming out of the Montreal Buffalo game. Mac is going with Alex Tuck of the Sabres. Who do you got tonight for your goal scorer in this play of ours, and why?
I went with the low hanging fruit here, man. I went with Cole Caulfield. I think this guy needs to produce for this for the Habs to keep this train moving. So I went with Caulfield because he had 50 plus goals this season. But the thing about Montreal, and we talked about this with Colorado, not to this extent as Colorado, but this team's getting scoring from it. We talk about the heater that Alex Newhook is on. It's like him and Brett Howden are literally matching goal for goal in the games that they're playing right now. But I think it comes down to your stars, and Caulfield is a star. He needs to produce. I see him getting one tonight.
Oops. Sorry. I shouldn't do this because I shouldn't, but now I'm going to just because I said it. I was going to go with Brett Howden tonight for the Knights, but I feel like I spoke Noah Hannafin out into existence, and if I don't go with Noah Hannafin tonight, it's going to screw us. So we actually have 2 hat trick plays tonight because we can't hit one of them, so why don't I play it twice? I'm going to officially go with Noah Hannafin for my play there. Let's get over into the NBA. No game scheduled tonight. We get to entirely lock into hockey. I don't hate that. Thanks for nothing, Philadelphia. But last night, we saw, again, as we talked off the top, a very weird game. Cleveland won a game on the road. They lead the series 3-2. Game 6 Friday night in Cleveland. A 13-0 run by Cleveland, holding Detroit scoreless for 5 minutes late in the fourth quarter, midway through overtime. Cade Cunningham, 39 points last night for the Pistons. James Harden showed up. And Kenny Smith, I think, nailed this game perfectly in the post-game coverage. He said, listen, both of these teams gave each other several opportunities to take this game, and nobody wanted it. Cleveland ends up with the victory, a road win. So now we have Cleveland, who hasn't lost at home, coming off of their first road win, facing Detroit on Friday night, who hasn't lost an elimination game yet. It's kind of interesting here. So let's do this before I ask you my final question of the day. What did you make out of last night's game? What are your thoughts on what's happening in this series? Do we get game 7?
I thought it was a huge win for Cleveland. I don't think James Harden is he went 8 for 21 last night, which was absolutely brutal. But the team rallied and got it done. And you have to respect getting a win on the road against a top seed team like Detroit. And you mentioned before that Robinson was out of the lineup and Harris went out, but like you can only play the players that are on the floor, right? So, Cleveland did what they had to do. Road games are nasty, they're sloppy, they're gross, and they came out ahead. And now the Pistons, shoes on the other foot, right? The Pistons need to go into Cleveland this weekend and do the same exact thing. They need to get nasty and gross and win a road game.
Much to my dad's enjoyment, it's a doubleheader Friday night on Amazon Prime, where we'll see Cleveland and Detroit and then San Antonio and Minnesota. So let me ask you this. The young Spurs have an opportunity to close out Minnesota on the road. Cleveland has an opportunity to close out Detroit at home. Who do you have more confidence in? Because I will tell you, I do not think both teams end their series on Friday night. I think one of those is guaranteed to go to a game 7 if you're looking at it my way. So San Antonio on the road, Cleveland at home. Who is your confidence in to end their series?
I have more faith in the Spurs than I do in the Cavs. I saw what happened with the Cavs in the first series against the Raps, and I just think that Detroit is going to come into the, what do they call it now? I don't remember. The last time I was in that building, it was called the Gund Arena.
The Rocket Arena.
Good Lord. Okay. I think the Pistons get it done tomorrow night. I think you see a game 7 at the Pizza Palace.
Game 7 at the Pizza Palace. Have a game 7 at the Fortress. We have a game 7 at the Key Bank. I mean,
give it all to me.
They might break that building in Buffalo if there's a Game 7 with a chance to advance to the conference finals. You know what else we have this weekend?
Oh,
Ponies.
Jesus.
Much to Mac's chagrin. If you missed the show last week, I had the guys name their own horse and number it, and Mac, because he's scared of horses, he went with Scary as Shit and When Hell Freezes Over were his 2 picks. You're the big money guy after the Kentucky Derby.
Oh.
Give me a couple of numbers or names off the board here.
I have absolutely no clue. You know who I'm going to be sending a message to later tomorrow.
Yep.
I would probably go. Iron Honor. I had the number 9 horse in there, so I think if I remember correctly, so Iron Honor looks like a good pick here. Watch out for Great White, though. You know that's
literally watch out for him.
You know. And I'm not attacking this from the Great White Shark Jaws standpoint. I'm attacking it from the 80s cock rock music standpoint. But save all your love for Great White here. Once bitten, twice shy.
I asked Mac the other day. I went with the 6-7 horses, not for the 6-7 thing, but I said, can you tell why? And he goes, no. I went, well, Officer Baker and Officer Pontarello, so I'm taking the 6 horse. And how could I not take a horse named The Hell We Did?
Love that. I love that. You know what?
Now, for following your number thing that you referred to, Iron Honor, Incredibolt would be your other one at 12. Max would be Taj Mahal and also Chip Honcho. So we'll see what our guy has. I'll have some official picks from the best guy we know when it comes to horse racing on tomorrow's Lunchtime Live. Your go-home show for the week. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
I hate it here.
I hate it here. I really want to see some Game 7s, man. I really want to see some Game 7s this weekend. So I'm pulling for Anaheim. I'm going to be pulling for Detroit tomorrow. I have a feeling that Buffalo series is destined for 7. So let's get the excitement of Game 7s rolling. This is gonna be a good night tonight. It's gonna be a good night.
Aldrich Potgater, Steven Yeager, Minwoo Lee, and Ryo Hitsatsune.
Who?
All of your leaders in the clubhouse with -367's Akshay Bhatia making the turn. He's at -3 from the PGA Championship. A day that Bryson DeChambeau would like to forget it. At +6, he's 144th.
Good Lord.
For TJ, for Mac, for everybody behind the scenes of Mike, we'll talk with you tomorrow on Lunchtime Live. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show. Everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. By now, you know the drill. Tomorrow, we're